Imagine me not grabbing the medal when the enemy's meddling. My mental is telling me this is murder one through melody.
Rebel on the pedal since I balance on a bicycle. They're supplying me and my per diem. I don't die. Simple love is all you need. It's only me as I survive. Hustle always on the grind. I'm playing mine with divine structure.
Ooh, I'm a rebel, mashing the pedal. Would you rather dance with the stars or dance with the devil?
What's up, guys? Man, hope you guys are all doing really good. It is Friday, and we've hit May, guys. Summer's almost here, and that's pretty sweet. Thanks for showing up. Anybody who's watching on replay, definitely appreciate you. Your likes and your subscribe goes a long way with me. I'd like to see my channel get back up to 10,000 subscribers like it once was, and it's been slowly growing, so thank you. Today we're doing a live stream I call Delphi This Week, where we go through all of the content on YouTube that's uploaded about the Delphi murders, and we kind of filter it by view count, and you might see something that you haven't seen yet. Some of these videos get lost in the algorithm, and it's pretty nice to have a place where they're all in the same place and we could talk about them. I see Frank there with his beautiful pink hand. Welcome, man. So good to see you, dude. Frankfurter. All right. We'll go ahead and get it started. Last week I missed some videos. I also got cut off early, so I apologize for that. I'm going to be updating my StreamYard plan here soon. So to start off, like I said, just type in Delphi Murders, go to filters, make sure it's filtered for this week only. Then we go ahead and hit view count, hit that bad boy, and then we're set. Now when we go back and forth, we lose our place. We might have to redo it, but that's fine. All right, we're just scrolling, baby, all the way down until we're just in the depths of depravity. Okay. Let's see. Who the hell is that guy? I didn't know that Harvey Carroll stormed the Capitol. That guy does everything. Okay. I have a feeling that this is AI. I swear to God, that's like the worst thing. I hate it.
February 13th, 2000.
Yeah, that's AI. I'm just not going to click on it if I suspect AI. Let's see here. Down the Hill, the Delphi Murders and the Search for Justice, uploaded 6 days ago by Crime Echoes with Lewis.
On the crisp afternoon of February 13th, 20...
That's totally AI. We just can't do it. So much of that these days. What is it with that? Let's see. This is probably AI too. Nocturne Enigma Files. Is this AI?
It began with a walk.
That is AI. Jeez. Mysteries with Mr. Balikik. No sound here, just the exhibits, I guess. We'll find one of these that have good commentary. Sometimes it takes a minute to find a good video here. Whispers of Crimes.
You found your way to Whispers of Crimes, a quiet corner where the shadows of the past are gently told.
That totally sounds like AI, but we're going to play it anyway. It's like better AI than normal. This is Whispers of Crimes YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and link that in the chat. Check them out.
Here, we speak of real crimes and mysteries, not to shock or scare, but to wonder, to reflect, and maybe to help you fall asleep. So close your eyes, let your thoughts slow down, and come with me into tonight's case.
Good music. Good music.
Today, we're diving deep into one of the most chilling and mysterious cases in recent history, the Delphi murders. On February 13th, 2017, two young girls, Liberty Libby German and Abigail Abby Williams, set off on a hike in the woods near their small town of Delphi, Indiana. It was supposed to be a simple afternoon outing for these two best friends, two young teens eager to explore the outdoors.
Welcome, Peggy. So good to see you. Excellent. I don't know about you guys, but I'm having a hard time telling if this is AI or if this is not AI. It's hard to tell.
Little did they know that this innocent trip would take a dark and tragic turn. Chapter 1: The Tragic Event. Libby, 14 years old, and Abby, 13, were familiar with the Monon High Bridge Trail, a well-known trail that wound through the woods just outside of Delphi. The girls were dropped off around 1 p.m. and planned to spend the next few hours walking and enjoying their time in the fresh air. They texted their families throughout the afternoon, keeping in touch as they explored. But when 3:15 p.m. came and went, and the girls failed to return, panic began to set in. By 5 p.m., after repeated attempts to contact them, their families realized something was terribly wrong. Their phones went unanswered, and there was no sign of them on the trail. Desperate, the community and police began searching for the two girls. What started as a missing persons case soon escalated into something far more disturbing when the search led to a tragic discovery the following day. Chapter 2. The search begins. The search for Libby and Abby began just hours after they went missing, and it quickly became clear that something was amiss. With temperatures dropping and nightfall approaching, the search efforts intensified. Volunteers from Delphi and surrounding areas joined law enforcement, combing through the dense woods near the Monon High Bridge. The weather was harsh and the area was sprawling, making it difficult for searchers to cover the entire region. But the sense of urgency was palpable. By the early morning hours of February 14th, 2017, nearly 24 hours after the girls were last seen, their bodies were discovered in a remote section of the woods. They were found about half a mile from the bridge, off the main trail. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community, but it also confirmed the worst.
Isn't half a mile just, I mean, I just imagine jogging it. That's a lot. That's a long way from the bridge, kind of. It's just, it's just crazy to think about, outdoor crime scenes and how easy it is to not have a perfect CSI team get everything that they need. Just puts a lot in perspective how big that area was. Um, I agree with you, Peggy. I think it's probably not AI, huh? No, I agree with you. It's probably not AI. It sounds pretty real. I'm just totally used to everything being AI. Never used to be like that. Um, Murder Sheet is kind of weird because they did a three, just for example, they did like a 3 episode podcast on the due process gang or whatever they call. And the link that I got, I had to pay for it. I was looking everywhere, like, why do I have to? I've finally found a website where I could watch it, but it seems like the got to get Patreon or the paid services a lot of times. Louise, welcome. So glad that you're here. Just in time.
Girls who were so full of life had been brutally murdered. The residents of Delphi, a small town where everyone knew each other, now had to face the painful reality that someone in their community had committed a heinous crime. Law enforcement quickly shifted from search mode to investigation mode. As the town grappled with the horror of what had occurred, the police worked tirelessly to gather evidence and determine what had happened to these 2 young girls. Little did they know that this case, with its shocking turn of events, would stretch on for years with few answers. Chapter 3: The disturbing evidence within days of the bodies being discovered. Investigators received a crucial piece of evidence that would change the course of the investigation: a video and audio recording. It turned out that Libby German, in a desperate act of courage, had managed to record a brief but chilling snippet of her final moments. Libby's phone had captured footage of a man approaching them on the bridge, walking toward them. His image, though blurred, was visible. The video showed the man walking on the bridge, his figure partially obscured by the weathered wooden planks, but his movements were unsettling. The audio from the recording was even more chilling. Libby's phone captured the man speaking the haunting words, "Down the hill." The words, which are believed to have been spoken as he directed the girls away from the bridge and down a steep hill, sent a shiver down the spine of everyone who heard them.
And so far, I just really, really like this video. Just pointing out, she hasn't mentioned any suspects yet. It's been all about the girls, and we're, 10 minutes in or something? Only 5, whatever. But I think that's pretty cool. She's telling the stories very well. She has all the times, the dates, and the facts that go with the story. Pretty sweet. Um, what was I going to say? Yeah, it was just about her not mentioning Richard Allen yet. I think that's kind of important for newer people, or if I was a new person and I was interested in this case, and somebody's just telling me, "Hey, this guy's guilty," then I probably wouldn't watch it. I'd be more interested in what she's doing right now, telling the story. After the story's known, then you could kind of go through the process of who you think did it. But we're just lucky because there was already a trial. There, back in the day, there was just a mountain of POIs on the internet, and we had endless rabbit holes to jump into. A lot of us have been through each and every one of them. It's just insanity. Complete insanity. It's videos like this that kind of help bring the sanity back, I think, and really personalizes the girls.
This evidence became the focal point of the investigation. Investigators released a brief portion of the video and an audio recording of the words, "Down the hill," hoping the public might help identify the man. It was a difficult decision as the footage was far from conclusive, but it was a lead they couldn't ignore. The image of this man, combined with the audio, became one of the most powerful clues in the case. Yet, despite the intense focus on this video, the man's identity remained unknown. Chapter 4: The investigation intensifies. As the weeks passed, the investigation grew larger and more complex. The case caught the attention of the FBI, and agents joined local authorities in the hunt for the killer. This was no longer just a local case, it had turned into a national sensation. The police and FBI deployed resources, experts, and technology to try to track down the killer, but progress remained slow. Authorities released a composite sketch of the man seen in the video, who appeared to be in his 40s. His face was described as having a distinctive appearance, with a sharp jawline and a downturned expression. Police also released more details, including the possibility that the suspect had been familiar with the area, as the crime scene was not far from the town. Despite all these efforts, the killer remained elusive. The sketch, though widely circulated, didn't lead to any solid leads. At the same time, the investigators worked to piece together what had happened during those final moments. The girls were last seen walking on the bridge, and the fact that Libby had managed to capture evidence before their deaths was a stroke of luck, but also a tragedy. Many of the leads generated by the public were false or unhelpful, which only added to the frustration of law enforcement and the families of the victims. The case seemed to stall, and for months, there were no new developments. The town of Delphi, once a peaceful and quiet place, had become overshadowed by the darkness of this unsolved crime. Chapter 5. The public's role. The Delphi murders case caught the attention of the public like few others. With little to go on in terms of leads or evidence, true crime enthusiasts, online communities, and even armchair detectives began to take an active interest.
Oh, they did. They still do. And like I said, I enjoyed this video so far. There's a little bit of it left, and if you guys want to check it out, go to Whispers of Crimes on YouTube. Looks like their channel's well put together and they know what they're doing. Okay. So we're just going to go back and we're going to keep this train rolling. This is what I mean about having to do it again though. You got to keep scrolling again. Wish sometimes it cooperates and it stays there. So let's see here. Where were we? We were somewhere around here. This looks, it's a short, but mine as well. Voltage and Villains uploaded a video called What the Witnesses of the Delphi Murders Saw.
Also, 4 witnesses had been revealed on the affidavit, and they said they saw a man who matched the description of the guy on Libby's video between 1:26 p.m. and 2:13 p.m. So around the same time that Libby recorded the video and was there, one of the witnesses is seen arriving to the park at 1:46 p.m. So this was all seen on footage. She parked her car and walked towards the bridge. She said she had seen a man standing 50 feet away from her on the bridge, so she decided to walk back in the direction that she came from. As she's walking back to the direction she came from, she sees 2 girls walking towards the bridge. She believed those 2 girls were Abby and Libby. And to tie it all together, the other witness was driving north of the trails about 2 hours after the abduction had happened, and she said she saw a man in a blue jacket walking the opposite direction, and he was muddy and bloody. And she describes it as like he had killed a pig. Also,
Yeah, that was a good, interesting short. A lot of information there. Voltage and Villains, guys. Not sure. That looks like it was a short from a longer video or maybe a live stream that they did. Never heard of them. Maybe you have. Looks like something worth checking out. PTB afternoon, right back at you. Do I still keep in touch with Greeno? Yep. Talk to him sometimes. He's really helpful. He always wants to be helpful. And just like me or some of my other close friends, he's been through a lot of changes. And I don't say that to say that he was like bad or anything. I'm just saying I've saw a lot of positive change in him, and I think it's cool to see people go through that. And I'll be frank says that he's also going to be doing a live later tonight with Marv, which, by the way, Marv is going to be on this channel here with me next weekend. So I'll be able to schedule that here soon when I get the details. Scumbag Trav, welcome, man. Always a pleasure. Hey, everyone. Hope all is well. Glad I caught another Nick live. That's right, man. Okay. Keep on going. Let's do this. Oh, this is probably the longer video that they're talking about. Voltage and Villains. Yeah, we're going to play this then. And I'm going to go ahead and drop their
Two
link
best
in the
friends.
chat. We're only going to play about 5 minutes here. Also, there's a link pinned there if anybody wants to call in, give me your opinions, thoughts. You have a video you want me to bring up, go ahead and call in. All I ask is that you don't hijack and take like 45 minutes. Just a quick phone call, stream call, whatever you want to call it. Okay, Voltage and Villains. We're going to randomly skip it, and we're going to play 5 minutes of it.
Nothingness.
2 years.
Oh,
2 years. The case
man.
kind of like just stalled.
I hate to hear shit like that.
Yeah.
Because like the whole time the family is like
trying to figure out who the hell it was.
Yeah. Like all right, I know this is gonna sound like a little bit of like a joke, but it's not. I promise it's not. Like that's the type of shit where like I'd have to turn to Batman.
Oh yeah.
Or like a fucking vigilante. Like I'm gonna go out there and try to solve this shit myself.
But that's why like families take matters into their own hands, because they're like, look, like if we just let these cops do whatever they want to do, like they're not gonna find anything. And it's not because they might not want to.
It's because they're busy. Because they're just
they
need sign-offs. There's a whole bunch of other cases going on.
Right. And it makes sense. But nothing was released up until 2019, and they released the other part of the audio from that video that Libby took.
Wait. So the damn case goes cold.
Yes.
And I'm sure they'll get more into it. But like they said, in 2019, 2 years later, they released extended audio. Instead of down the hill, you have the audio saying, guys, down the hill. And along with that extra word on the audio, they also released another sketch, which was what people call young bridge guy sketch. Kind of interesting, you know. It's kind of widely known, though, that eyewitness reports are very unreliable. And even in this case, in the testimonies, you see some of the eyewitnesses contradict each other, or not so much contradicting as just not getting information 100% correct. And I think that's normal, especially after years have passed. And people weren't going to the trails that day looking for something bad. They were just there. You know, normal.
And you guys don't release the rest of the audio?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm talking about.
But I believe when I read through the case, they said that they had to kind of like put the video through filters to get the guy's voice to kind of sound more clearer.
Okay.
That's why they kind of like got the first part because he was really close, but that's why they got the second part like quickly because he was closer to them. But the first part, they had to kind of like get a filter and kind of like edited it to hear it. And the first part was him addressing them as guys. So he said, guys, down the hill.
And I'm not going to lie, like the technology with that type of stuff really between 2017 and 2019 did start to upgrade. Yeah, because we were dealing with like audio stuff back then. So like,
Exactly.
But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So no, go ahead.
No. I was gonna respond to what you just last said, which was
guys.
He referred to them as guys, but I feel like that's just a normal thing for people to say. I wouldn't put too much emphasis on that.
Yeah, but we kind of know that he was talking to both of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it emphasizes that he was there present in the moment and he knew he was following them and he kind of was targeting them.
Yeah, okay.
Police also released a sketch of a younger suspect, and they said that the suspect could be as young as 16. So now the age range kind of widened. It was like the suspect could be anywhere between 16 years old and 40-something years old, and that's a huge gap. It's a very big gap. Police knew that The suspect was most likely a citizen living amongst them, and addressed that in the same press conference that they released the audio and the new composite sketch. But after looking, they still could not pin anyone. So this is 2 years later, and you still can't find who really did this. Fast forward to November 2022.
Oh my gosh.
So it's what, 4 or 5 years?
5 years.
Right.
Almost 6.
So police had many suspects. They interviewed them. They brought them into the police station. They tried to, see if they were. One of the main suspects was a guy named Ron Logan. He was a suspect because their bodies were found on his property. His property is really close to the Monon Bridge, the Monon High Bridge, where they were walking. So
I do also want to point out, just on the whole Ron Logan situation, there was a video posted this week that we're going to be able to look at. So I won't get too into detail, but around that time in 2022, if you don't remember, Doug Carter did an interview, and he said, in that interview, he said, "I'm sure the killer's watching this." Ron Logan was dead at the time. And also in the 2017 press conference, he also said the same thing. He could be watching this. And I think Ron Logan was in jail at the time. He might not have been. Maybe I'm mixing up people, but there's just so much things that points away from Ron Logan. A lot of it doesn't make sense, but I'll let that other creator talk about it when we play that video. So again, go ahead and check him out. That was Voltage and Villains. Looks like they're really passionate about the Delphi case, and they've done their research. Awesome. So let's find our next video. We will go ahead and we will play this from Deb's True Crime Notebook. These are new exhibits. Last week we got new exhibits. The week before we got new exhibits. The week before that, the phone interviews and jail calls came out. Now we're getting more. It's just slowly trickling, this information. I don't know if it's from FOIA requests or what, but that's what we got. Deb's True Crime Notebook.
Welcome back to Deb's True Crime Notebook, where we read the documents for you so you don't have to. We actually don't have documents to read to you today, but what we do have is another picture or exhibit from the Richard Allen case, and we're going to take a very close look at it. It's exhibit number 252, which is Rick Allen's garage. It's his workbench inside of his garage is what we're actually looking at. We're going to see the entire picture, and then we're going to dissect it segment by segment and let you know what we're finding in that picture. So here we go. So as you recall, on October 13th, 2022, a search warrant was issued for Richard M. Allen's house on Whiteman Drive. Many things were taken from that house: clothing that matched Bridge Guy's description, shoes, a Sig Sauer gun, bullets, a keepsake box that contained a bullet that matched the one found at the crime scene, and a lot of other items. One of the things that we are looking at today is an exhibit picture of Richard Allen's workbench in his garage that contains a lot of items that were taken that day as well. So let's break it down right now. They're looking at the basic main picture, exhibit number 252. And as you look at this picture, you're going to see a lot of things in there. You see a lamp, you see knives, scissors, a stuffed animal of some sort. We'll take a closer look at that. And a drawer open with box cutters. So let's examine each square, zoom in and see what we find. So we are starting in the upper left-hand corner of that picture that we looked at from exhibit 252.
Yeah, quite a bit of work goes into stuff like this, making slides or just getting all the information and all the bullet points ready to talk about. So big shout out to Deb. I'm sure you guys have heard of her. If you haven't, go check her out. Again, Deb's True Crime Notebook.
And let's just go item by item and try to identify what we're looking at. So as you see in the left corner of this picture, it looks like a vintage lamp that's sitting there. perhaps something he was working on restringing or cleaning up. Who knows? Then in the back there are little cardboard something or another on the wall there. You can see it. I'm not sure what that is. It's difficult to see from here, but right.
That lamp is kind of vintage. It's kind of weird. It looks either like an ashtray lamp or it looks like one of those super old school things where you like pour the oil into that bowl on the bottom and then it's like an oil lamp. Cool lamp. Cool lamp. Not a cool dude. Cool lamp though, man.
Right underneath that is what appears to be a glass bowl with sunglasses. And as you recall, many people said they felt they could see a pair of sunglasses on top of Bridge Guy's hat. I don't know that that's true, but we do know Richard Allen did wear sunglasses on top of his hat. So it's interesting that there's a bowl there with that. It looks like a jar with various pens and different things in there, and I'm not sure what that is in the corner. It looks like possibly something made of stone. Then there is a box which would
Welcome,
hold
Batman.
bolts, nuts, screws, etc. Very common things that you would see on a workbench. In front of that, there's something that appears to be made out of cloth that's black, maybe with some red on it. And in front of that, on the actual workbench, is a pair of shears or scissors. What appears to be a clear ruler in front of that. And then to the very right, and the last item in this picture that we're noticing are 3 knives in varying sizes, from larger to smallest, going from left to right. And they are in the knife sheaths. Not sure if that's where they originally were, just laying out like that, or if law enforcement laid them out. But that's what we see in the left-hand upper corner of this picture. Looking at the upper right-hand corner, we see in the left top corner of that picture continuation of the little silver shelf with compartments where it's likely screws, nuts, bolts were held. Below that is a jar of some sort. Some people like to throw loose bolts, etc., in there. And then there's a round black cylinder there. I'm not sure what that is. It actually looks like it might be an Alexa or something like that. In front of that is something very strange. It looks like a torn cloth, maybe a torn blanket, and a stuffed cat. Now, we know that the Allens had a cat that passed away. Maybe someone gave them this stuffed cat in remembrance. Maybe that's part of the cat's blanket and the cat's stuffed animal, because it looks very similar to a stuffed cat that my little dog had and used to play with. So who knows? Not really sure what that is. If that's a toy from their child, just a rag that it's underneath there, I'm not sure. Your guess is as good as mine. There is a plastic bag with what looks like warranties behind that, and another box with individual slots that it looks like different parts are in. In front of that is a brownish rag with some tool or something orange in there. It looks like the screwdriver handle. In front of that, something else other than a lubricant laxative. I found that very interesting, and I cannot wait to hear the comments you guys have. So in the lower left-hand corner of this picture, you see it's very dark under this cubby, and there is in the far left bottom side of it, there is a container. It looks like a plastic container with a white lid. It's in various colors of blue. The last 3 letters are ZZA. I'm not sure what that is. Some kind of compound, maybe caulking or plaster or something like that. If anyone knows, please put it in the comments.
That's probably caulking paint or plaster. Come in those kind of buckets. Something for home improvement or construction or whatever. I agree with that one. Good video. I thought there was more pictures here, but I guess those are just particular those ones. Let's see what else we got. Let's see what else. This one looks really good. I haven't watched it yet. I was saving it to do with you guys. Let's check this one out. Tom Webster says there is no doubt Richard Allen is guilty. Let's do it.
Of killing Abby Williams and Libby German after they were dropped off for a walk in the woods on February 13th, 2017.
Crime Jester, welcome.
Some people asked for a shorter summary, and with the recent release of trial exhibits, it is even more obvious Richard Allen was the man captured in Libby's video on Monon High Bridge. My video is mostly for people who have not spent the time to truly analyze Rick's 3 timelines that he gave police over 5 years. I spent the time analyzing them, and this video proves Rick's supposed noon arrival time at the trail.
Pretty interesting. Somebody changing their timeline 3 times. Thrice. Never used that word before, always wanted to. Thrice is nice. All right, let's check it out. My boy Tommy.
Was a lie. When he told police 5 days after the murders that he arrived around 1:30, he was telling the truth, and he was Bridge Guy. The jury realized that after they spent several days examining the evidence and convicted him in November 2024.
What's going on, sweetheart?
I did it.
You did
No,
what?
I did it.
What?
I killed Abby. I killed Abby and Libby.
No, you didn't.
Yes.
Big time welcome. First time in the chat. Glad to see you, Queef Charts, aka Lucy for reals. God, that profile picture of yours is breathtaking. I just got to get back to the content before I lose it.
I did.
No, you didn't, Darren.
Yes, I did.
Don't say
I don't know why.
No, you didn't.
At this point in the case, there is no reasonable doubt, only unreasonable doubt by people who either have not taken the time to analyze the facts of the afternoon of February 13th, 2017, or they choose to ignore the facts just to complain that Rick was falsely convicted, treated unfairly in prison, blame the police for corruption and incompetence, or they think Ron Logan, Kegan Kline, or white supremacist Odinists killed the 2 young white girls. The most important question in solving this case should be, where was Richard Allen at 2:13 p.m. on February 13th, 2017? Thanks to Libby and Abby, 5 females on the trail, and Richard Allen's statements, it is obvious he was stalking Abby and Libby on the bridge at 2:13 p.m. Here we go with a detailed analysis. It's important to remember Delphi is a small town of less than 3,000 people. At Rick's trial, several men testified that they lived in Delphi their entire lives and did not know Monon High Bridge existed or never walked the trail. On the day of the murders, Rick was off from work from his job at CVS Pharmacy in Delphi, and no one could provide an alibi for him between 11:15 a.m. when he left his mom's house about 40 minutes from Delphi until his wife returned home from work around 5:30 p.m.
And another thing that'll be brought up on the topic of Richard Allen innocent versus guilty is just the alibi and the timeline. If your client is innocent, then the best thing you could do is show the timeline of events and the alibi. It was barely brought up at trial, if at all. It was only brought up a couple times. They rested God. We'll get into it later. I'm going to stop interrupting Tom because he's good at just talking. I'm not.
His job at CVS Pharmacy in Delphi, and no one could provide an alibi for him between 11:15 a.m. when he left his mom's house about 40 minutes from Delphi until his wife returned home from work around 5:30 p.m.
But again, when it comes to Kathy, I'm guessing the jury would have loved to hear her say, I got home at 5:30, which is what she would have testified to. And Rick was asleep on the couch and there was no blood anywhere and he wasn't acting weird, which is all the case. There was nothing in the car. I didn't see anything. He didn't act odd at all. I think that would have been an important part that maybe could have negated whatever it was that they tipped, the scale in favor of the prosecution.
In his October 13th, 2022 interview, Rick recalled February 13th, 2017.
I went over to my mom's in Peru, Mexico. My wife was working, so I went over there and spent the day, not the day, I spent the morning with them. My sisters come over and they were going to go eat lunch and stuff. And
Yeah, this account, first of all, hi. It's been a long time, and I hope you're doing good. One of the OGs in the Delphi community, like, a big handful of us, so it's good to see you. I just think that you make a really good point about don't put it on Kathy because it's Rick's fault that he didn't testify. You can apply that to a lot of different stuff. Like, Rick was trying to confess so many times, and his mom, his wife, I suspect his dad, everybody was sitting there telling him, "No, you're not guilty. Stop telling me you did it. You didn't do it." "Yes, I did. Why would I tell you I did it if I didn't?" "Stop talking like that. They're messing with you." A part of me wants to blame his family. He was trying to unburden his soul. He was trying to tell the truth, and you guys pretty much made him feel like he couldn't. You made him feel like if he admitted to this, that you guys wouldn't love him anymore, even though you told him you would. It's easy for me to put blame on the family in that matter, but I always got to remember that all of this is his fault. This whole situation, every single thing that came from it, is his fault ultimately. But yeah. Anyways, go way back with the big handfuls. Yeah. Let's do it.
I wasn't about that. So I went home, and I remember it was a fairly warm day, or warmer than normal. So I think I just put a jacket on and went back out to the trails. I remember walking down to the bridge. I left my mom's, it was probably around 11:15. So I think I would have been out there, it would have been around noon, I thought, is when I was out there. Walked down to High Bridge, always went out just a little ways, not all the way, went out a little ways and watched the fish. See if I see any fish down there because I like fishing, and walk back and sit on the, when you turn around and go down the other fork, there's a bench that overlooks, and sat there for a few minutes and walked back out and left.
That was a lie. There is zero evidence Richard Allen was on the trail and bridge between noon to 1:30. Zero. Nada. Nothing. On January 30th, 2024, the defense was given discovery, including security videos from businesses in the town of Delphi. But at his trial, they did not present any footage of Rick driving between around 11:45 a.m. to 2 p.m. down Main Street, Delphi, going to and from the trail to prove his noon to 1:45 timeline
What's up,
and
Nick?
driving route were
Good
true.
to see you, bro.
3 days after the murders, Rick told police he was there between 1 to 3. 2 days later, 5 days after the murders, he told another officer he was there between 1:30 to 3:30. This officer testified that it was understood that he was physically on the trail between 1:30 to 3:30, and that officer noted the 30-minute difference from what he had said 2 days earlier. So 5 years after the murders, why did Rick change his timeline to say he arrived around noon?
That just puts a lot into perspective. Someone who's innocent doesn't have to lie about these things or change their stories. Doesn't matter how much time has passed. This is such a huge event. It took over everybody's lives in Delphi. There's no doubt that Rick and Kathy didn't know about this case. You can see the pictures of him with the young guy sketch in the background. I'm sure he'll bring it up, but he also originally said he wasn't on the bridge. There's just so many inconsistencies there. And the people who don't believe this, I get it. Just kidding, I don't get it at all. So, like, when the Hoosier Harvest Store, when that surveillance came out, it was time stamped. We saw his car coming, so we know that none of these timelines in front on the screen there none of them make sense. He was caught because he was on his car was there. But people will actually tell you that there's no proof that the surveillance footage is real, and the timestamps are off. There was mistakes made, so it should be all thrown out. Rick's innocent. Just look at him. He's eating his own feces. Who else would do that if they were guilty? I don't know. Who really does know? Looks like we have a caller. One of my favorite things on this show. So glad to have you here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest. Can you hear me, this account? Might be setting up her mic and stuff.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify what I meant when I said that about what was said on that video. I don't like when the lawyer says that. He may be right. That may have, as far as like, I think he said the jury to see X, Y, and Z, right? But that's not, and I know he.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry to interrupt. Can you just kind of start it over for me when the lawyer said what now? I'm just slow.
When he said that, let me know if I buffer, he can't hear me, okay? When he says that, Kathy should have taken the stand and things might have, I think maybe I'm hearing that. I don't want to quote him on any of this, okay? So it's not a quote, but I thought he was saying it would have been a nice thing for the jury to like see her up there and get a different feel and everything else, but his client didn't get up there.
Right. I
So
agree with you on that. Like it kind of felt crappy that he was kind of calling Kathy out in a way. Is that what
right,
you're saying?
yeah, like he's putting it maybe on her a little bit, and I'm like, wait, hold on that one. Now, I'm not happy with that. Doesn't mean I'm, like, oh, rainbows and flowers for everybody over there. No, it just means that in that particular interview, I think it sucks what was said there, and that it puts some sort of, responsibility for her when it's not even a smart move. It's not even a smart move to put a mom or a wife on the stand. If you had to be on the stand for your child, how many moms and dads will lie for their kids? It's to be expected sometimes. Like they don't want to go there. It's pointless.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that was it. I just didn't want to clarify that. I wanted to clarify what I said because I know there were phone calls and different things were said in those phone calls, and I have different emotions about that. Or I'm sorry, not emotions, different thoughts about that as well. But just separating the two.
Okay. Yeah, that was probably my misunderstanding because I was kind of generalizing everything and kind of saying everything's Rick's fault and we kind of blame other people. But I
Well,
get what you're
yeah,
clarifying there, definitely. Oh
I don't
boy.
think it was your fault. I think it was. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you talking?
No, you're good.
Okay, I thought it was buffering again. It kind of sounded weird. Yeah, that was all. It was specifically said like, oh, it might have been a different outcome, I think was the wording. And I don't know that it would have been a different outcome or not, but it didn't go there. So like, why say that?
Yep. And I hear what you
Why?
say. There's so many cases that I can point out, like Chris Watts or the Grim Sleep. People's families stick by him. I would do it for my brother or my dad. I'm not saying that. I guess I can't say because I've never been in that position, but I would like to say that you can't. People aren't going to turn on the people who they love the most. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just kind
Well,
of feel that way.
I think you're right that it's harder to turn on people that you love, but I would say when someone that you love is making you suspicious that they committed a murder or something like that, then you're gonna have to do the hard thing, just like Chris Watts' dad did. Remember when he was like, "Okay, you're gonna work with them and tell whatever." But
Right, right.
yeah,
Okay, you're buffering a little bit.
just take some. Okay, let me see if I can help. Is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You're saying like
Okay,
just to take.
yeah.
Oh man. So
Just so set. Go ahead, hon.
sorry.
It's
Just
me. It's
because
my phone.
it always happens. I missed
I'll
it. I
wait.
haven't streamed. There's always technical difficulties to be had. You've been around for so long, and just somebody
Mhm.
who's been around for all these years, can you tell us how you feel like now today when post conviction? Like, how do you feel about the verdict and the community and everything that's going on?
Um, you want me to the verdict and the community? The community is in a state of what I'm thinking is about disrepair. So I have been taking big breaks. Actually, you just popped up, and I was like, oh, there's Cross. Let me see what he's up to. And then, I made that statement and I wanted to clarify it. How do I feel about the case outcome? I feel that the jury did their job and that's I didn't the jury in Casey Anthony's case did their job. A lot of people didn't like it. I think many people didn't like it. But, in this situation, the jury did their job. Whether the outcome is one we like or not, he will get his continuing, he'll get an option for an appeal. I think he's put together a lot of parts of this that were just kind of missing when uh, and then I think when the witness said she saw him out on the bridge, and then he said he was on the bridge, and then it was like, okay, that's got my interest a lot. And then you find out the clothes are very normal, basic clothes, yes, but we're waiting for that day. What's going on that day? Who at those trails that day were dressed like that? And he described his outfit very similar as well. I mean, well, pretty much the same. He's describing the guy on the bridge to me. Um, and then, you know, just the I did it's and stuff like that, and these confessions and things. I don't know if he has a game plan. I kind of wonder if he is working a game here with he knows he's guilty, but he really wants to keep his family. And I don't know that, but and I don't know this either, but I do try to afford a little bit. I'm not happy. If somebody called me up and is telling me I committed a murder, I'm gonna be getting a notepad while I walk around so that I can like know what they said. You cannot call me up and tell me you committed a murder. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'm going to take that to the right place
Right.
at any time. At any time, I'm not dealing with it. Are you having, what's going on here? Something's going on. That's a serious, serious thing. So, and he's multiple. I mean, yeah. So many things. I wasn't real. The timing where he parked, how the time changed so many times. I did see that vehicle. I'm not good with cars, but I could tell that vehicle had a hatchback, and that I could also see someone misinterpreting it as maybe a PT Cruiser because I don't have great eyesight that you know so I might see that hatchback myself thinking, oh, PT Cruiser, like I could see that. For someone like me, car
Yep.
people know.
That's me
But
too,
yeah.
because I'm not a car person at all. That's exactly what I was thinking. And
No.
just on the same topic, it was kind of weird. Like I was saying earlier about the eyewitness testimony, how sometimes it varies. Like they did say, PT Cruiser is a smart car. I could see that being the Ford Focus. But now they have that other witness testimony with like the kind of boxy, I think it was Betsy Blair's, like a little boxy car. And people
Okay.
are using that to say it's not him, but there was also other testimony that did point to it. So, I don't know.
Do you think a boxy car in the back is? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It
You
could,
know.
yeah, from the right angle, it could have been mistaken as that. I just,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
yeah. But I think this was a great call. This account. Thank you for calling in today. I think I'll
You're
go ahead
wow.
and
keep on doing what you're doing here, but I do hope that people can just calm down and have separate opinions, stop attacking each other and making things worse for everyone in each other's lives. Like, really, for the Delphi community and all that stuff, and then people who are in the community itself, just like try. Hopefully, I know it won't get there. I'm afraid it's almost in a state of like it can't ever be a decent place anymore. But here we are, and I'm still checking to see. So I know I've seen you way back, and I haven't seen you for a while, but I will catch you around or see you sometime. I probably won't do call-ins, even though I love call-ins. I like listening to other people, so I'm a little what I needed to get done.
Well, I appreciate it. Quite the voice of reason today. Good to hear from you too, and I'll see you around. See you later. Oh God. Yeah, that was this account, guys. Great call. Oh boy. Just going through the comments really quick before we're gonna rewind a little bit for Tom Webster's video. Scumbag Trev says, great video by Tom. No one one would have to do a lot of mental gymnastics to get around all the known information out there. Mustang, I saw you. I didn't say anything. Don't want you to think I forgot about you. Thanks for showing up today. Super duper appreciate it. Corzer, the Corzonite. Oh man. Joni, I haven't seen you in a while. Hope you don't think I'm upset or anything that you might not think Richard Allen is guilty. It happens. As long as you're a little bit open about it. I'm just glad to see you. Just glad to see you, Joni. Alrighty. I'm going to go ahead and rewind just a little bit. And we're going to play it again. Here we go. This is Tom Webster believing why he thinks Richard Allen is guilty. Great reminder, too. Touch the like button.
Down Main Street, Delphi,
Touch
going
it.
to and from the trail to prove his noon to 1:45 timeline and driving route were true. 3 days after the murders, Rick told police he was there between 1 to 3. 2 days later, 5 days after the murders, he told another officer he was there between 1:30 to 3:30. This officer testified that it was understood that he was physically on the trail between 1:30 to 3:30, and that officer noted the 30-minute difference from what he had said 2 days earlier. So 5 years after the murders, why did Rick change his timeline to say he arrived around noon and left at 1:30, or 1:45? In April 2019, police held a huge press conference with an update on the case.
We're seeking the public's help to identify the driver of a vehicle that was parked at the old CPS DCS welfare building in the city of Delphi that was abandoned on the east side of County Road 300 North next to the Hoosier Heartland Highway between the hours of noon to 5. If you were parked there or know who was parked there, please contact the officers at the command post.
Richard Allen did not come forward, even though he was parked there between those hours. Maybe he said he arrived at noon to admit that he was there, but wanted police to think that he was gone by the time of Libby's Snapchat photos at 2:07 p.m.
Burn
2 years
after
prior, he did tell the
reading.
police that he parked there. It could be argued that he felt he did not need to tell them again, or he did not want to draw attention to himself. After that press conference, no other driver came forward to say they parked in that same unusual spot next to the abandoned CPS building Rick admitted to parking at, and two drivers passing by at 2:10 and around 2:19 saw a car parked in that unusual spot. Said it reminded her of her dad's car from the 1960s, but the driver at 2:10 described it as a purple PT Cruiser or a small SUV.
See, that's kind That's kind of what me and this account were just talking about. Yeah, there's the boxy car, then the PT Cruiser style car. They could have been described as different, but being from the same, the different eyewitnesses could have been describing the same car. We don't really know. What we do know that Tom brought up is that Richard Allen didn't come forward to say that he was parked there that day. Because remember, this press conference was well after 2 years after he initially turned himself in to the park officer, Dan Doolin. A lot of stuff. There's just a lot of little things like this. Really makes you think. Rescue all dogs. Thank you for coming in. Glad to see you. Lisa, Anon. Thank you. I think that was a nice call too. Appreciate it. Joe, I can see why you would say that the cops in Delphi are corrupt. You know, since the beginning there was so many mistakes that were made. I see them as mistakes. It's just hard for me to see it as corruption. But at what point do you start calling mistakes corruption? Where's the line? You know, there's not good excuses as to why stuff is missing or why stuff wasn't followed up on. Um, not a good excuse, but just an excuse that comes to my head is how high profile this case was and the workload that fell on so many people for these. I bet they got 1,000 tips a week at one point. I could only imagine. And then you take into account, I say this all the time, you have Carroll County Police, you have Indiana State Police, you have the FBI, you have ATF, you have a whole bunch of departments that are just, they're trying to solve the same case, but they all have different thoughts and opinions. I think it was Tony Liggett maybe who was saying that in Carroll County, just Carroll County itself, the officers were kind of split half and half on what they thought was going on. It was a lot of pressure, so much pressure. Crime Jester says, I think there were mistakes, incompetence, and maybe some corruption. None of that automatically means Alan isn't exactly where he belongs. Good comment. Appreciate it. Hopefully the actual Delphi community can heal. By actual Delphi community, she means the people who live in Delphi, and I hope for the same. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're on YouTube, so I think they're on the way. There's not that many people outside of YouTube or Twitter or TikTok who are really fighting. It's all a social media thing. So they have enough willpower to stay away. I wouldn't. We've seen it before, family members and people coming out to debunk or to correct people. And it's sad they got to do that, or they feel that they got to do that. But yeah, I hope for the same.
And another driver at 228 described it as possibly a smart car. 3 eyewitness sightings in 18 minutes. One said it was from the 1960s. 2 drivers said the car was more modern. In his 2022 police interview, Rick rambled to police for a few minutes about some faraway parking lot that is on someone's private property, according to Zillow. But Google Earth from April 2017, 2 months after the murders, shows it was not even a paved parking lot until years later. Rick eventually admitted he did park next to the old building at CPS. Rick's noon to 1 p.m. timeline makes no sense because he never encountered 5 females who were there during that time. One of those females was by herself. Her name was Betsy. She testified that she went to the trails often to do 3 loops around the trail for exercise. Her car was captured on the Hoosier Harvestor video surveillance camera at 12:02 p.m., which is a few seconds from arriving at the parking lot across from the Mears family farm, and her car was later seen on video leaving for about a half-hour bathroom break at 1:15 p.m. So she was on the trail approximately 1 hour and 13 minutes, which would have been the same time Rick was there, at least according to his 2022 timeline. She was seen leaving at 1:15 p.m. She testified at the trial that she always went the same route 3 times on the trail. She would park at the Mears lot, make a left at the Mears intersection, walk all the way down to Monon High Bridge. At the barricade, she would turn around, come back to the Mears intersection. From there, she would go down to the lower trail, but not go all the way down to the creek, come back to the Mears intersection, walk to Freedom Bridge, turn around, come back to the Mears intersection, and repeat that 2 more times.
Your darn better angels getting the best of you. That would have been pretty darn funny. Oh man, as long as there's no wieners, I'll accept anybody on here.
On the day of the murders, she did it 2 loops.
It would have to be the right wiener if I were to do that, though. It would have to be a good one, the right wiener, really.
Between 12:02 and 1:15, then she came back from 1:46 to 2:19. She wore a Fitbit exercise tracker, which corroborated this. Based on that route, Betsy passed the bench at the Mears intersection 7 times between 12:02 and 1:15 p.m. Rick said he sat on that bench during that time, but Betsy never saw any men until she saw a bridge guy on platform 1 around 1:53 p.m., according to my estimates of her arriving at 1:46. She would have seen Rick on the trail at Monon High Bridge or any of the 6 benches if he arrived at noon and left at 1 or later. She did not.
This is such good information, guys. Such good information. If you guys, I uploaded day 1 through 10 of WTHR covering the Delphi trial. I did that because WTHR is the most non-biased news source that I've seen that covers Delphi. WTHR has been there since the beginning. They cover it so well. Not a shred of bias I could detect. But anyway, 1 through 10 of the trial is already out. I'm going to do them all. It was like a 5-hour video, so it takes a lot of space to do that. But my point in saying that is I myself haven't seen the full trial. I haven't went through the transcripts. I've seen bits and pieces in what some people would call the important parts of the trial. But someone like Tom Weber, who actually attended, sharing all this information with us, I really want to take note of it because it seems just very important to know.
This proves Rick lied about his noon arrival.
I killed Abby and Libby.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't, Darren.
Yes, I did.
Don't say
I don't know why.
No, you didn't.
4 girls took photos time-stamped at 12:25 at Freedom Bridge. Then they walked the entire trail past.
Are you sorry, Mustang, I was muted. Who's Chucky? Do you mean Gnarls Codwin? That Chuck? There's so many different Charles. I should do audiobooks. Thanks, man. I can't read very well though. My mom always told me I read really good, but she was fucking lying to me. Not what the teachers said. But all right, let's do it.
Past all 6 benches until they reached Monon High Bridge and took a photo at 12:43. They never encountered Rick between those 15 minutes he said he was on the trail, platform 1 of the bridge, or the bench at Mears, or any other bench. I visited Delphi and walked the entire trail to the Monon High Bridge. It's impossible to not notice other people. I don't understand how anyone can say he is innocent and ignore this. I guess they're just too busy complaining about other things that happened after his arrest and have not taken the time to analyze his timelines on the day of the murders.
I killed Abby. No, you didn't. Stop.
Betsy left at 1:15 p.m. to use the library restroom and drove by the abandoned CPS lot around 1:15 and again at 2:19, but only noticed a car against the CPS building at 2:19 because it was parked next to the old building, not next to the trail like most cars usually parked. Rick's noon arrival was a lie.
No way. Call of Dragons came out with the expansion Farlight? Oh, God.
I need you to know that I did this.
What?
And if you want to say, well, he left at 1, so his car was gone by 1:15, Betsy would have seen him on the trail, at the bridge, on the bench, and also as she was going back and forth from Freedom Bridge. Also, the 4 girls would have seen him. Thanks to Indie Archive for uploading this video to YouTube. It shows that as you're driving from Mears towards CPS, as you come around this corner,
Thank you, guys.
the CPS lot is in full view. This video was taken after the building was demolished, but I've driven on this road. If you're driving towards CPS, you would have seen the car at 1:15. Betsy did not, because Rick's car was not there. So if Rick was not there from noon to 1 or 1:30, what was the truth? The truth was his 1:30 arrival, he told police 5 days after the murders. Rick told the prison psychologist he was an alcoholic, and on his way home from his mom's, instead of going to lunch, he bought a 6-pack and drank 3 beers at home. That gave him about 90 minutes at home before he said he bundled up and went to the trail. Another thanks to YouTube channel Gray Hughes Investigates, who recently uploaded a video which was an impressive vehicle comparison after he purchased a 3D model image of a 2016 black Ford Focus SE, which matched Richard Allen's car. And then he overlaid it on the 1:27 p.m. screenshots of a car headed toward the direction of the CPS parking lot.
Wop, 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 wop. Ah, that was a funny video by Fig. Corzer says, one thing I want to know is when Richard Allen called law enforcement to say that he was on the bridge that day and he met the officer to give the statement, Dan Doolin, was he asked if that was him in the image that they released? Yeah, it's a good question. Very good question. And I don't think it was answered that day, but it was answered. Do you guys, some of you guys might remember. Do you guys remember what Rick said when they asked him, is this you in the picture there? He said, well, if Libby took it, it wasn't me. Pretty much. Do you see how he answered that question kind of weirdly? Like, if Libby took it, it wasn't me because I didn't see any girls that day. And don't quote me, but it was something along those lines. You guys in the chat could show me where that came from or whatever. If I'm wrong, I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, Fig's really smart, really smart. Back in the day, I never, even now, never really even talked to Fig, never had a relationship with him, but glad he's out there, man. Pretty good dude. Yeah, that's an odd way to answer a question. I have asparagus says, he said it wasn't him if it came from the girl's phone. Yeah, it's so weird. Such a weird thing to say. There's ways to answer stuff if you're innocent, and then there's ways to answer stuff that makes you seem guilty. So it was code for, yep, that's me. Pretty much. Okay, Corzer, yeah, I was wondering. But you were right though. You were asking that day, like if they asked him that day, because when Rick said that was years later, so. Exactly. Yep, okay. Yep, I see what you're saying. At that time, they didn't say it was from a phone or whatever. I mean, he'd have a good idea if that was him in the photo. He knew what he wore. Right. Man. And you never know. He's obviously psychotic. I don't know what meds he's on, but 3 beers isn't necessarily enough to get you drunk, especially blackout drunk. Maybe if he was mixing it with some of his medication, I don't know. It's hard for me to. Sometimes you don't even need substances to black out. It's called psychosis. Sometimes I feel like some of his guilt and remorse is pretty real. It was just, I don't know, the mixture of his family not wanting him to confess and the pressure put on him by by the attorneys. It seems like he was. I don't even know how to put words into it. You guys know what I'm saying. Yes, you want to know if he was asked back then. And if he wasn't asked, why not? He just reported he was on the bridge wearing the exact same thing. So what was Dan Doolin doing? Did he forward it to the right department right away? What was on his mind? Wow. That guy just said he was there. And they might have been buddies, but they weren't good friends, right? That would have been known. I don't think he was good friends with them. So I don't get that whole thing. It's pretty weird.
It's a match. Motor vehicle records in Indiana revealed that Richard Allen was the only person in Carroll County who owned a black 2016 Ford Focus SE. You can see in this photo of Betsy's SUV that it clearly shows traditional silver hubcaps as opposed to the 127 car like Rick's with all black wheels.
Huh? See? Fact drop. Man, Tom's got a bunch of good stuff. That's kind of what I was getting at too, Burn, after reading. I will say I was on antidepressant meds many moons ago, had a few beers, and blacked out. Very scary. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. There's a lot of, especially antipsychotics. I mean, for me, antidepressant meds have a weird effect on my body I won't get into. That's why I don't take them. But some of those antipsychotics like Seroquel, I could see him being a perfect candidate for Seroquel. A lot of those antipsychotics, they just do not mesh with alcohol well. Just like opiates and benzos, and I guess amphetamines, it doesn't really matter what you do. You're only going to feel amphetamines, but most drugs are designed not to mix with alcohol. So I don't know. A lot of that kind of makes you wonder if he was in his right mind when he did it. Obviously not, but you know what I mean.
One of the things that struck me when I visited Delphi, it's like in the middle of nowhere. I even walked on 300 North, which is this road that you see here. For 10 minutes, I only saw 2 cars. However, this does not have to be Rick's car for him to be Bridge Guy and the killer. But the evidence points to him taking this longer route, probably to drive by the Mears parking lot to see if anyone was parked there, so he knew if people were going to be on the trail as he tried to live out his sexual fantasy. There are 3 different ways to get from Rick's home to the trail. Just because he said he normally drove through town does not mean he did that on February 13th. As I stated before, the defense had security video from Main Street, Delphi, but never presented anything at his trial to show that Rick drove through town like he said between noon to 2 p.m.
I'm just trying to be at peace with things. But I have to let you know that I did it, hon.
Dear, no, you didn't.
In the description below this video, I put a link to Gray Hugh's full 17-minute car comparison video. The 1:30 p.m. arrival Rick admitted to 5 days after the murders matches up to the facts of that afternoon. At 1:26 p.m., the 4 girls took photos at bench number 2. After they took those photos, the 4 girls were exiting near the start of the trail when they passed a man who they said matched the man from Libby's video. In the same spot, Richard Allen said he passed 3 girls. Even though this police interview was 5 years after the murders, Rick seemed to remember that the girls he passed were different ages, different heights, and looked like sisters.
When I was approaching the trailhead, I guess is what I'd call it, there was 3 girls walking off the trail. And I just remember it looking like one of them was probably watching, not babysitting, but watching the other 2 because they looked a little younger. And they looked very similar. I don't know if they were sisters or whatever, but the other one didn't necessarily. But I remember seeing them walking off the trailhead.
Rick perfectly described the 4 girls who passed Bridge Guy. 3 of those 4 girls were sisters or half-sisters, and their ages were 12, 13, and 2 were 16. The only detail Rick got wrong about the 4 girls was saying he passed 3 girls. But he also said he could have been wearing a head covering and a hood, so it's unclear how good his vision was as he tried to pass these girls on the narrow trail. An internet sleuth named Doug Rice showed a photo to one of these girls of a man named Jimmy Dale Duval, and the girl said he resembled the man she saw. Police interviewed Duval, and he was not a suspect. You can decide if you think Richard Allen and Jimmy Dale Duval resemble each other.
Yeah, they resemble each other. I would say so. And I don't know if he brought it up, but Doug Rice, he was a great internet sleuth back in the day. He has since passed away. Rest his soul. Yeah, he brought a lot of good information back then, and we didn't know if it was verified, true or false. Now we do. One thing that Tom might, he hasn't done it yet, nobody's really mentioned is that the 4 girls, one of them was the youngest, and she was lagging pretty far behind. So he could have saw a group of 3 girls, and the one girl was just a little bit further behind. Not really anything, but just a piece of information. And the girls saw him as well. And Betsy Blair would have saw him if he was there when he said he was 12 or whatever it was.
If you think Richard Allen is innocent, find the separate group of 3 girls who will testify they passed a man resembling Richard Allen around noon. Then explain how Rick never saw the 5 other females for over an hour when all of them were all over both trails, the bridge, down by the creek, and past the bench he said he sat on. Rick's noon arrival was a lie.
It's true, honey.
No, it's not. You're not well, sweetheart.
I'm well.
No. No, you're not.
Yes, I am, honey. I just hope that you'll still love me, because I may only, if I get the electric chair or if I get the death penalty.
No.
Betsy's car was spotted again on the Hoosier Harbor Store camera, arriving at Mears around 1:46 p.m. for her last exercise loop.
You know, he brought up the electric chair more than once, and I'm starting to wonder, total speculation. I'm wondering if, and just like he looked up that video, Hard Candy, where little girl gets revenge on a pedophile, kills him, tortures him. It might have been a sick fantasy of his that someone got vengeance on him. There was exhibits released, and he had a wooden chair in the middle of his garage, empty, and a bunch of electrical wiring around it and some devices. Maybe he wanted the electric chair. Maybe he was practicing. I don't know. We are going to play a few more minutes of this video. I highly recommend you watch it on your own. I'm going to do that later. I'll finish it myself because I haven't watched it yet. But we got a couple more videos we're going to play here, and we got about 30 minutes left. Just a little warning. Justice Spade, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Rescue All Dogs, because I had no idea. That was Weber's garage with the wooden chair. I thought it was Alan's garage. Thank you for correcting me before I went too nuts. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know. It would suck if I ran with it. Done that before. Let's see. Okay, rewinded a couple seconds. We're going to play 5 minutes and then we'll move on to the next one.
If I get the electric chair or if I get the death penalty.
No.
Betsy's car was spotted again on the Hoosier Harbor Store camera, arriving at Mears around 1:46 p.m. for her last exercise loop. She told police she saw the 4 girls leaving the overpass to the left of Freedom Bridge. So that was probably around 1:44 p.m. It takes 3 minutes to walk from the CPS lot where Rick parked to the start of the trail near Freedom Bridge, and then another 8 to 10 minutes to pass the Mears intersection. So Rick probably passed the 4 girls between 1:32 and 1:36 p.m. because Betsy parked around 1:46 to 1:47. But she did not see Rick until she got to the barricade at High Bridge. He was likely on the bridge by 1:50 p.m. At the start of his 2022 police interview, Rick said he only saw 3 young girls near the start of the trail when he arrived, but he saw nobody else for the rest of his time, for over an hour up to an hour and 45 minutes, which is factually impossible. However, 40 minutes into this interview, Rick somehow magically remembered the following.
Like I told him, there may have been somebody on the bridge or something when I was coming back through, but I didn't. The only ones that I really noticed seeing were the 3 girls.
So a double child murderer was on the bridge around the same time as you, and you may remember seeing someone on the bridge or something. Rick's emotional demeanor in these 2 video police interviews, for the most part, leans toward an innocent man, in my uneducated opinion, but his statements in these interrogations and prison phone calls are that of a guilty man.
They messed you up so bad.
It's okay, honey. I did it. I did it, dear.
Stop.
I cannot stop.
Quote, there may have been somebody on the bridge or something when I was coming back through, end quote. That was Rick admitting he saw Betsy when she was at the barricade around 1:53 p.m. Betsy saw a man matching bridge guy from Libby's video, standing on platform 1. You know, that same platform that Rick said he stood on, watching fish, despite the creek being muddy on February 13th, and the next day, as shown in this helicopter footage. Rick saw Betsy, quote, when I was coming back through, end quote, means he left platform 1 after Betsy turned around at the barricade, and he went back on the trail. Rick admitted he was bridge guy by saying he saw somebody. Other than Rick, Betsy was the only adult and person alone on the trail between noon until Libby's 213 video of Bridge Guy. People act like this case is so hard to figure out. It's not. Richard Allen was Bridge Guy. He admitted it. What are people missing? I don't understand. Betsy's exercise route means she likely passed the Mears intersection bench 7 times between 12:02 and 1:15 p.m., but she never saw any men on the trail or bridge until she saw Bridge Guy on platform 1 around 1:53. After that, Betsy passed Abby and Libby when they were about halfway between the Mears intersection and the start of Monon High Bridge. Rick later confessed to the prison psychologist that he saw Abby and Libby and followed them to the bridge.
It's good to hear your voice.
So did Kathy tell you that I did it?
We're not going to discuss this, okay? We love you. You know that, don't you?
Regardless?
In 2017 and 2019, Betsy gave statements to the police that the man on platform 1 was 20 to early 30s with poofy hair, but she testified at the trial that she only saw Bridge Guy for a moment.
All right, that's about exactly half. So remember, check out Tom Webster if you want to see the rest. This account says February is probably some huge tadpoles and a lot of fish activity. Not in my February experiences, but maybe in the water there it's different. I don't know. I don't know for sure either. I know there was a not Delphi local, but Indiana local, good friend of mine. His name is Automobile. You guys might know him. He said that you could see fish from the bridge, and you could see them a lot better if you have like not polarized glasses, but like the yellow tinted glasses can really help you if you're actually fish watching. I don't think it's out of the I don't think it's out of the question, but knowing what we know now, I just feel like his motivation probably wasn't the fish. And we also remember he said that as he was at the trails, he was checking his stock ticker on his phone. He saved all of his phones. He has the old Motorola Razr phone. He has the Nokia that you used to play Snake on. He has like all of his old phones and devices except for the phone he was using at the time. That's just another piece of information that, people can ingest. Just take it in, guys. Just take it in. All right. Next video. Welcome, Mommy Wolverine. So glad to see you. Good. All right, let's see here. Where on God's green earth am I? Okay, here we are. Let's see. You have here, there's a channel called Truth Revealed. And they're really digging into the Kegan Kline connection. Thinks that Kegan Kline is somehow involved. I can see why they would think that. And on that topic, Cryptex, YouTube creator, we will be live tomorrow on this channel, and we're going to talk about a lot of that stuff. It should be really interesting. So set it on your calendars. Does any of you guys have a calendar? I don't. I got a Pokedex. Okay, let's see. What do we got? Hey, this is the guy that was on Voltage and Villains. He has his own channel. It's called Big Tacky. Big Ass Tacky. Okay. Let's see. Delphi Murders open discussion. It's a live stream from the channel Sleuth Intuition. Let's go ahead and see if there's a point in here we can pick out. Maybe he gets a call, or maybe he gets on a topic of something that's interesting. Let's go ahead and just hop in there. Hey, there's this account. Maybe we'll rewind.
So it's not like, hey, I'm pulling some kind of weird theory. This is the very theory that the investigative team has been trying to track down. But with no proof, it goes poof. Just like with the Kallenberger case. They know who did it. They know the players. They know he's dead. They even have one of the individuals that was involved in moving and disposing of the body.
That's pretty sweet,
confessing
Paulie.
officially, making an official statement. Yet he did not get arrested. There have been no arrests. Why? Because if there's no proof, that shit goes what?
Poof. Right? That shit goes poof. You need that proof. If you don't got the proof,
What's up, Vegas?
that shit
KK
goes
has
poof.
said lots of things,
Uh-huh.
and only thing true about him is he lies, lies, and lies. The cops looked at him and found nothing, and Holman asked Richard Allen if he had help, and he said he did it alone.
Right, we were just talking about calendars. I'm kind of hungry. Talking about cheeseburgers, and there's a Callenburger coming out of nowhere. You never know what you're gonna get, man. Freaking Callenburgers out there, dude. What even are those? Yeah, so we'll play this here for 5-10 minutes. I think they're kind of theorizing or just having an open discussion about Kegan Kline. See what they say.
So now Richard Allen is telling the truth, and Kegan Kline is the liar. I guess nobody ever heard the story of the boy that cried wolf. You guys ever heard that story? He thought it was funny. Hey, there's a wolf. Everybody panic. They'd come running. They would try to go protect the sheep. They'd get out there. They'd interrupted their dinner, whatever they were doing to come save the sheep and the little boy, right? No wolf. He does it again. Hey, there's a wolf out here. Help, help, help.
Oh, you're saying that. See, I'm such an idiot. I thought Callenburger was like a real thing. Yeah, it was just a mix. Wait, how did he say Callenburger? We were the ones talking about calendars. We talked about calendars. He was thinking about Kohlberger. He jumped into the future and saw this stream, and then it got into his head, and he accidentally said Callenburger. You guys feel me? It's all connected. It's all connected. Rua, good to see you. I think I remember you. It's been a long time. Rua said, no way did one man do all that damage. I'm here to tell you, one man could do a lot of damage. It's true. One woman could do a lot of damage. But I get why you're saying that. It's hard to believe that one man could do that much damage. It is. It is hard to believe that. Wait, so there is a Callenburger. Let's just call the tomatoes, whatever.
So they come running. Again, he's fooled them. He's a little prankster. Then the third time, there really is a wolf. And he comes and he kills out all the sheep and the little boy. And he was screaming and crying, wolf, wolf, wolf. But nobody came. Because he's a liar.
I agree with Sleuth. Especially on the boy who calls, boy who screamed wolf, cried wolf, whatever. That's a good analogy. And it definitely applies to Kegan Kline. It even applies to Richard Allen. Because in that story of crying wolf, at the end he is telling the truth, but just nobody believes him. And there is more than those two people who have confessed to killing the girls or having something to do with this crime. There's been a lot of times where people involve themselves and they either try to cause this mass confusion or they're going through some kind of mental breakdown, like with Julian Powell. A lot of people do that. Even the guy who called Greeno's show, pretending to be Dan Pearson, he confessions don't mean much. It's about the substance of the confession. It's about the people around it, how we kind of take that information in. And I think that's what Sleuth is trying to tell us. Totally agree there. So make sure you check him out, guys. This is what we're dealing with. Do you see this thumbnail? This hell of a thumbnail from Shadow Sleuth. It's sick. So fucked up, man. People want to call Kelsey a psycho. She was a child when this happened. Her sister was murdered, but people want to call her a psychopath. That's just great. Makes so much sense. Good job. Okay. I'm going to look for one more video that's kind of a non-biased video that just talks about the girl's story, tells the girl's story. Hopefully I can find one of those, because the last video that I want to play is one that we missed last week. And it's about the free Rick Allen website. And I think it's a good video to watch. But first, let's at least find something here that kind of tells us the basics. I think this one might be good. Even News Nation, Court TV, they're all getting more biased as you go along, but we'll play it.
The Delphi murders were tried in the court of public opinion almost from the moment they happened in February of 2017. Abigail Williams, who was 13, and her best friend Liberty German, 14, were attacked and killed while hiking near an abandoned railway bridge in the heart of Indiana. It took investigators 5 years to home in on a suspect, and I do mean home. The man they arrested was a Delphi pharmacy tech known to pretty much everybody in town. But was Richard Allen really the infamous bridge guy, or wasn't he? Evidence shown to the public consisted mainly of a short, grainy video clip from one of the victim's phones. But at trial, the jury that convicted Richard Allen saw hundreds of exhibits that we, the public, did not see because cameras were barred from the courtroom, and those exhibits have stayed pretty much under wraps until now. Our News Nation affiliate in Indianapolis got a hold of some of that evidence, and reporter Max Lewis takes us through it.
Cameras were banned from the Delphi courtroom where Richard Allen was tried and ultimately found guilty for the 2017 murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. We requested hundreds of exhibits from this trial, but only received a fraction of them. Still, it's the first time they're being seen outside the courtroom.
The actual crime scene photos remain sealed in the case, but this diagram shown to the jury is what it looked like. Libby German's naked body next to Abby Williams, both covered with tree branches. Their bodies found on February 14th, 2017 along Deer Creek in Delphi. Police would ultimately focus their attention on Allen after discovering an interview he gave shortly after the murders saying he was on the trails that day. That led to a search of Allen's home, where newly public photos show his black Ford Focus in the garage, the same one prosecutors say that was seen on surveillance cameras near the trail that day. Prosecutors say
there was a channel the other day that was saying, look at this. They said, look at Richard Allen's car there. There's no windshield wiper. There's no rear windshield wipers. In the video we saw from the Hoosier hardware store, whatever the hell, they say that they can't see windshield wipers on the back of Richard Allen's car in that video. That's just funny. The windshield wipers could easily be tucked into the top spoiler there. And that's besides the point, because nobody can tell in that grainy photo from the surveillance camera that there wasn't, or there was, windshield wipers. People are just, they're taking these new exhibits, or the newly released exhibits, and they're just trying to support his innocence, and it's not really working. It just doesn't. And this is exactly, it's grasping at straws. Yep. And this is the last video that we're going to play today. I got to go pick up my daughter in 20 minutes. It's an early release today from school, so we're not going to watch the full video, but we will watch some of it. So here you go. It's from the channel The Unsolved, titled The Disgusting Free Rick Allen Website. I've seen this. I agree with him on everything in here. The free Rick Allen website is insane. And all of their bullet points and their reasoning for why Rick Allen is innocent, it's like false. They take something so vague and then they twist the words to make it fit their narrative. It's just simply stupid, and the Unsolved did a great job at debunking. So, all right, let's do it.
A website called rickallenjustice.com, and it just makes me sick to my stomach after reading through it. So before I begin, I want to make everybody aware that if you're new to my page, first of all, this is going to be a long video. So if you're not ready for that, come back and watch later. But I want you to be aware that unlike some other channels, I'm a decorated journalist who's been doing this for 29 years. I've produced leads in this case for detectives.
Totally has. He's not lying. I just got to fast forward it because, like I said, we're going to get out of here in about 20 minutes. Let's see here.
Despite what you may see on TV, DNA can be in clearing homicide cases. The overall percentage of cases that have a DNA analysis available to them pre-arrest is 6.7%. So only 6.7% of crimes in this study even had DNA available. When we account for the number of cases which have no investigative need for forensic evidence, this percentage rises to 9.3%. Only 22.7% of those whodunit cases which collected evidence likely to yield a DNA analysis had a DNA analysis available to them pre-arrest. So only 22% of those cases, 22.7%, which collected evidence likely to yield a DNA analysis, had DNA analysis available to them prior to arrest, meaning they're not able to get useful DNA because it's partial DNA, tainted DNA, incomplete DNA. So DNA, despite what you may see on TV, is way more often than not left at homicide crime scenes. People think every time there's something there, there's got to be a piece of hair. There's got to be this that's collectible. There's got to be that. When the actual reality from studies shows that the majority of the time, there's not, even in hands-on violent crimes. And that's important when people are saying, well, how can there not be DNA at the website or at the crime scene? Disputed ballistics evidence. The prosecution hinged on an unspent bullet allegedly cycled through Allen's gun, but their own expert initially couldn't confirm a match. The defense challenged the comparison method as unreliable, and the state never sought independent verification. Well, contrary to what that states there, they actually did match the extractor marks on his bullet to countless other similar weapons, and guess which the only one it matched was? You guessed it, the one belonging to Richard Allen. Shock, shock. And just bear with me because I have to keep pulling these up off of here because StreamYard only allows me to put up a certain number of these at a time. Let's go to the next page here. We've got Allen's presence at timeline and the trails. Vague witness accounts failed to definitively place Allen at the crime scene during the murders. Well, that's funny because he placed himself at the crime scene. So I don't know what kind of disingenuous bullshit that is for this website to say that no one definitively placed Allen at or near the crime scene during the murders. He told Dan Doolin he was there between 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. that day. They have cell phone data. They have his car, or a car that matches his on the Hoosier Harbor Store camera during that time. And they also have, like I said, Allen, as you saw at the beginning of the video, admitting that during that time he was out there on the bridge, according to him, on the trestle, right around the time of the crimes. So that's just completely disingenuous for this website to claim that. Okay, Allen's mention of a van claimed as killer-only knowledge was widely known and lacked exclusivity. This claims that the van that spooked Allen, that drove under the private drive, was not killer-only knowledge, because the defense team stated that there were something like 28 or 29 accounts in the evidence that they were given mentioning a white van. But Those accounts, most of them did not mention any sort of a white van under the bridge. Those weren't eyewitnesses accounts of people saying, oh, we saw a white van driving under the Monon High Bridge on the private drive. No, those were just generalized white van statements from other people saying that they saw a white van over here, over there on Route 25, other places at a parking lot. So white vans are notorious. They're the most reported type of.
And really quick, I just want to point out, Kegan Kline also mentioned a red Jeep. Throughout the years, there's been countless POIs, vehicles, stuff involved, events that are somehow connected. This isn't a case of like throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. They're trying to say because a white van was mentioned before in the past that Richard Allen must have somehow came across that information and just used it as a false confession, or was coerced into saying it as a false confession. It's just not true. Not true.
Vehicle involved by eyewitnesses in crimes. They've studied this, okay? So a lot of those could be false information, but for him to state that he stopped his crime because he saw a specific van, a white van, coming home on that private drive, and that's why he ended up killing them when his intention was to commit a sexual assault, that is, in fact, something only the killer would have known, that person. So it's just coincidence that he saw a white van, and that white van, there also happens to be a similar van that's at the property that goes to the private drive. That's very specific, okay? Then we have Sarah Harbaugh's insistent account of a man on the highway is too unreliable to incriminate Allen. Well, while it may not incriminate him definitively, it's unreliable. I don't know what makes her eyewitness testimony unreliable, because everything I've seen about her testimony and everything I've read shows that she was very adamant about what she saw, that she saw somebody with blood on their jeans that was muddied up, that was walking on the north side of County Road 300. Just again, that's sketchy. Here we go. Allen's vehicle identification.
Sorry, really quick to cut him off. You see there in their bullet points, he's just going item by item, debunking like a freaking goddess. God, just kidding. So when they say Sarah Harbaugh's testimony, the account of the man on the highway was too unreliable to incriminate Allen. This is what I mean by taking what should be a vague, known statement and twisting it and making it so specific and particular to what she saw. It's widely known that, just in general, eyewitness testimony is unreliable. I'll say it. It's kind of true. Instead of saying that, just generally, they're cherry picking. They're opposite. They're cherry planting. They're cherry planting shit. Know what I'm saying? Sleuth is not a queefer, and neither is anybody else. Just queef shards, Lucy for reals. That's the only queefer around. Unless anybody wants to confess. I don't know.
The late identification of Allen's car was criticized as a desperate attempt
Sleuth is great
to fit evidence to the suspect. No, it was the Hoosier Harvest Store camera.
I look up to him.
That captured what was definitively determined to be, and there's tons of videos out there. Go watch the Gray Hughes one, how he overlays a Ford Focus to what they captured on the Hoosier Harvest Store video. It's a dead match to that year of Allen's Ford Focus. Okay, folks? And this Rick Allen Justice website furthermore goes on. They even put later on the website, if you go look, they put an inaccurate time on there. They state that Allen was seen on that video at like 14:21 hours, not accounting for the fact, probably because they didn't do their research like they should have on that Innocence website. It doesn't.
No, they did their research. They just put out false information just because it makes him look more innocent than if they put out the right information. Totally agree with you. Paulie Walnuts was saying it earlier. People purposely put out fake information. You saw it. I thought that the chair in the garage, that exhibit, I thought that it was Richard Allen's house. It turns out that it was actually the Webbers or whatever. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta correct this. I can't be putting out false information. There's other people around there who have the opposite effect. They need to put out false information. They are special. Very special people. All right, guys, 5 more minutes and then I'm getting out of here.
Doesn't account for the fact that that camera was 50 something minutes fast. So they're on their website providing inaccurate timestamp information as more proof of Allen's innocence, which again, just completely disingenuous to create a website that's putting false information out there, like that one is yet again in that instance. Okay. Let's move on, shall we?
All right. He's getting to a new, this is a good time to cut it off actually, because he's getting into another topic. Check out The Unsolved. You guys got to watch this full video. I promise you it's full of information. It's factual and it's good. It's the good stuff that you want to hear when you're doing research for some kind of a traumatic event. You want to have the real stuff. Justice Spade said, geese freak me out. They are nice walking up, but you turn your back, they will chase the fuck out you. You know what? They have teeth in their tongue. Ugh. Scary. Oh yeah, I hear you, Queefer. You go ahead and have a good one. I appreciate you guys coming in today, really do. Like and subscribe, that's all I ask for. If you guys want to become a member or do the donation thing, I appreciate that. It's super cool. But really what I need from you is I need you to subscribe. I need to get my channel back growing again. I'm relying on you guys. You can trust me. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to give false information. I could be a little mean. I could be rough around the edges. But you're in good hands over here, I promise you. So, all right. I will see you guys later. Let me go ahead and get a video here. Then we'll get the hell out. Where are we? Da-da-da. Takes me a while. I just deleted too much shit. Oh, I wish it was smoother than that. I told you guys I was going to play a song like 12 seconds ago. Oh my god, I'm a loser. I'm a piece of shit, actually. Where'd it go? Oh, fuck. Okay.
T-minus 10, 9,
8. I was on the camera the whole time? I hate myself.